Hey guys, so I've received another submission to the Skull Discord Art Help channel. So this is the channel where members with the proper role can submit their drawings, and I'll basically do my best to review them and give them pointers on how to improve this. So I decided to make this in video form to save time and so everybody can actually benefit from it, if there is any benefit to get from that. Alright, so this submission was sent by sshadowfaxx. It's the drawing of a kiwi. So I was really confused when you sent me this drawing because it lacks all the natural, properties or the natural curves of a bird, the natural structure of a bird. So I was really confused as how you ended up with this drawing. That's why I asked you to send me the reference picture. By the way, it's a great idea to always send me the reference picture with your drawing, so I know where you're coming from. So I've put this drawing and the reference pics into Sketchbook, which is an awesome program to try if you don't want to break bank and get Photoshop or another expensive program. It's my favorite program to paint, by the way. Like I only use that to color my drawings. I don't know why. It just has a great feeling to it. And there's a lot of tutorial, free brushes, texture on the Autodesk website. So definitely try it before you buy anything else. So here is your drawing and the reference you sent me. So yeah, when I got the reference, I understood way better where you're coming from. Like you're not drawing from a real life picture, but from an abstraction of a kiwi. So yeah, it makes complete sense to me now. Basically, I think it's way harder to draw from this because it doesn't have the natural flow of an animal. You know, it's just this abstract shape that looks like a kiwi, but it doesn't. It's not a kiwi at all. Like even though like it might seem simpler to you, it is not really. Like it's harder to draw these kind of things, in my opinion. So you send me another picture that you used as reference as well. Yeah, well, this one, I would have preferred that you actually drew this one because it has this natural flow to it, natural curve of a living animal. It's got a balance that makes sense and everything. Proportion that makes sense as well. This is actually easier to draw than that. By far, actually, in my opinion. Right. So, what I'm gonna do is I am going to show you, what am I doing? Yeah, like this. I'm gonna show you how I would draw this. How I would actually do my first pass, the first rough, which is the most important in my opinion because it's the one where the foundation of your drawing, really. Like this is where you set all the main structure and proportion of the drawing. So basically I use, okay, that's one technique actually. I'll show you other techniques as we go along with this video. But this is a very useful technique that I'll show you. So basically I use three tools, going from general to specific, basically blocking in my drawing and then adding little detail as I go along. It's basically a bit like sculpting if you think about it. Like I start with a big stone and then chip away at this stone to add details. Like every pass that I make over my rough adds more detail, basically. Then I use, there's different ways to do it, but to measure in drawing, but I find the most efficient way and intuitive way to measure things is by measuring with shapes, basically. Shapes that your subject are composed of, or negative shapes, basically things that don't exist. I'll explain you that in a second. And the third tool that I use, that I'm going to explain you, is basically creating relationships between the elements of your drawing thanks to vertical, horizontal lines and angles. So let's start by general to specific. So when I see this this drawing, the first thing I find this subject. The first thing I try to do is to boil it down to the most abstract and simple geometric shape that I can think of. In this case, I see a triangle. Like I see this. Oops. Try not to move my screen. So that really would be, for this technique, that would be my first pass. So let's try to replicate that here. Basically, those are all things that that happen in my head when I draw. Like, but it doesn't hurt to actually put that down on paper when you're learning, because it really helps you structure your stuff. Something like that. Like I allow myself a very fair margin of error as I for my first pass. I don't really care too much that it's exactly how it's supposed to be. And then as I refine my my drawing, I try to be more correct as I go along. Right, so that would be my my base drawing. Then I would use shapes to break down these simple shapes to break down that complex drawing into manageable parts, really. So I would use I would break down the actual subject into shapes. So let me show you that. Like this basically would become like some kind of an ellipse like this. Then I would just make another shape here, and then this nice curve against line shape, and then finally something like that. I would start with this, and then I would use also negative shapes. That's super important. Negative shapes are super powerful. It's more important. It's more efficient to draw what's not there rather than what's there. Like the peak is just so difficult to draw, for example, like here. But if you take this shape and focus on this shape rather than on the peak, it becomes way easier to draw. So like the negative shapes I would focus on as I draw this is this triangle here, this little triangle here, that shape obviously, and then focus on this one, and the middle one, that's like the secondary shape. I would focus on this one, and like probably this shape around here. Right, so let's just try this. So again, you can be rather loose at this stage. And then when I do this, that's the third point of my, the third tool is I try to create relationship thanks to vertical and horizontal axis. For example, where, like how, like this point here, I try to put a relationship with like the top of my triangle here. So you can see, well, yeah, I kind of fucked it up. So I do that for everything. Like for example, where does this point end. So like here I would just create a line and see, alright, so it crosses more or less where like there is a change of time. This curve change direction and arrives around here. And alright. So I start here. I try to replicate this shape now. Then up. Like here, for example, where does this axis here start? So I pull line up. And see, oh well, look, it starts more or less where that shape here, the oval and that shape here intersect. That's a useful landmark. I'm gonna make it go to there. And I'm gonna try to recreate this shape around here. Actually, you know what? I should, instead of showing my face, I should show my hand. That's way more interesting, actually. Let's do this. Yeah, I think you can learn a lot from a position of hand and how I move my hands, basically. Right, so I'm trying to do this. You know, I see, this should be a bit lower. I correct it as I go along. And I try to replicate shape around here. So really, I'm not focusing on the beak at all here. I'm focusing on that shape, and I try to replicate it. Right now, I'm gonna focus on this shape, like here, to get the top of the beak. This goes like this. Further. Then around here, it's coming back up. My feet start and here more or less, and there, around here. Right, so that would be my my base pass really, and then I would refine that. So let's just lower the opacity. So we just go over. And just correct things. For the moment I'm only treating with shapes, not volumes. When I'll have when I'll be happy with the shapes, that's when I'll start dealing with volumes. But that comes in a later pass that I don't think I'm going to show that today. I'm trying to stay under the 15-minute mark for my video, which I've already blown. But I guess I need more time, more experience to time my work properly. I try not to erase. I should have done that actually. It's nice to leave your mistake and see where you fucked up. So here, this should be higher, for example. I should finish somewhere around here. I'm gonna focus on that negative shape around here. For the feet, I would put this line in relationship with this line and this line, and try to replicate them as best as I can here. Right. example, where does this foot, the bottom of the foot start? I would just put a line and say more or less, alright. So it starts more or less around here. It's just a question of putting things in relationship with each other and simplifying, really. I'm not gonna draw the entire foot at this stage. I just draw a shape, the shape of the foot, and then I'm gonna see. Well, I'm gonna try to draw that little negative space here to help me look the other foot. And yeah, basically, I just refine this, refine as I go along. But this would be my first pass, really. I can see there's a lot of things that are wrong in this drawing, but that's fine, and I'll just correct this as I go along. Like, it doesn't need to be perfect at this stage. You just slowly build this up. So yeah, I would just really advise you to train this skill, just to break down a simple, complex shape into simple shapes, and to measure with shapes. Basically, it's easier to see how this shape here. I've had a relationship between this shape and this shape and this shape, then starting to, okay, I'm gonna draw the border, it goes like this, then a bit to the right, and change direction. No, it's, to me, I find it impossible to draw like that. Like, I need to break things down into simple shape. For example, I'm just gonna do your, like this one. Quickly, this one, basically what I see, instead of a triangle, I see a rectangle. With a little protrusion. This would be my base shape that I would start with. So let's do this, rectangle. And a little protrusion here. This sheet is more than that, I think. Like this. Then I would break this down into simple shapes. So I would have probably like some kind of oval here. Nice curve versus straight here. Nice curve here, another straight. Another straight here. Yeah, that would be my simplification, basically. So I would also focus on this negative shape, this one, very important for the beak, and then this shape here. Right, so I probably start with this. This shape, right? It's okay. And this shape. Right. So really, I focus more on what's not there than on what's there, really. Now I'm focusing on this shape. Now I'm going to focus on this shape around here. Then I'm going to try to draw this big shape around here. Right. Then I'll probably try to get yeah, all those little shapes. I pay attention to this, and then like the negative shape between the legs. I get that shape right. Then I focus on that other shape here. Another shape around here. Like this one. And basically by getting all those little shapes, by locking all these little shapes into each other like a puzzle, I slowly build the general form. But yeah, it's really essential to break down a complex shape into simple shapes in order to make this drawing manageable, really. Again, this is the way I draw it. There's a lot of different ways to do this. Okay, so like for your drawing, I'm just gonna like give you like specific tips on what I would change. Like the first thing is, as human beings, we have this tendency to apply human characteristics on animals and objects. I think it's called anthropomorphism or something like that. And in this case, your face here is very human in a way. And okay, this is very important as well. It's like if you're gonna spend a lot of time in a drawing, you should spend time on the head and the eyes. It's the most important thing to draw, in my opinion. It's just the way our brain works. When we look at something, we look at the face, then the eyes, and then we go through all the features of the body from up and down in general. It's just, I don't know why, it's just the way our brain works. So we have this tendency when we draw animals and items to apply human characteristic to them. In this case, it's the relationship between the eyes and the beak. Like human beings, let's say that's the face, that's the eye. Human beings have the eye a little bit over the nose. Well, birds, and that's how you've placed your eye there. Birds don't have their eye like that. If this is the axis of the beak, they actually have their eye laying, it's actually more around here, like this. It's a bit more there, and it's on the axis of the beak, really. And this is a really neat trick to make a bird face look more like a bird face, basically. Like, just really lower the eyes, like boom, you need to lower the eyes compared to the human figure. Like if you would have put your eyes here, for example, you would have looked much more like a bird. I know it's a stupid little change, but it works. Then I would really advise you, so that's one thing. Then I would really advise you not to add texture at this level of drawing. So not to do what I'm doing now. No, try to focus on nice curves, nice line. Just it's good training for you because it's what gives a personality to your drawing. Just focus on your line at this stage, and if you're gonna add texture, really add texture just before you do the shading. It's just really one of the last pass of your drawing. And when you draw lines, I would really advise you guys to try to do one-shot lines, so like this. Like it doesn't matter if they're exactly where they should be, you know, just refine them as you go along. But don't do something like this. This line doesn't have any personality. It conveys insecurity, really, I think. Whether if you manage to have long line like this, it gives you a lot of strength and personality to your drawing. I don't know if I'm making sense. Right, so what else would I advise you? Yeah, okay, there's something that strikes me when I look at this. Basically, one of the key features of this piece is the beak. This beak is so huge, it almost touches his feet, you know? And I think that's where you really drop the ball here. Like you should have really, boom, like focused on the beak, make something really huge. This is a tip that one of my drawing mentor taught me, like when I was doing live drawing. Just before you start drawing, really take the time, take a few minutes to appreciate what you're drawing. Just look at it. What's special about it? What's interesting? Just don't draw straight. Just like really, just appreciate what you're drawing before drawing it, and try to find key features that stand out. And then as you draw, really try to focus on this feature. Here, it's clearly this huge fucking peak. If you would have, I don't know, I think your drawing would have looked much better if it doesn't matter if it's correct with the dimension are okay, but just the beak there seems very weak compared to what it actually is. And yeah, I think that's all I would. Yeah, I think that's it, advice-wise, for the moment. So I would really advise you to try to, as I said, to try to break down your drawing into, well, to try to break down complex shape into small, simple, manageable shape. I think once it's a super important skill because it's the base and foundation of drawing, really, if you think about it. And once you get that down, it's just a matter of taking the time to refine things, just applying the same process but at a smaller level, and a smaller level, and a smaller level, until you're happy with your lines, and then you clean them up. Right? I think that's it for today. It was too long already. Shit, way too long. So yeah, please keep on sending me more of these things. I don't know, that's why I built the Skull Discord, to do that kind of stuff. So yeah, please do send them. I'll try to review them more, well, faster basically. I'm not gonna make you wait weeks like I did this time. And yeah, it's nice. Basically, it helps me for my my future tutorials. So I see what I need to develop, what would help you guys, and I also, it helps me to see the flaws in my own drawing process and to see what I need to improve, basically. All right, let me know if this makes sense, and yeah, thanks for submitting, guys. Ciao. Let's see, where's my, there you go. Bye.